The removal of Robert Mugabe from power in 2017 was orchestrated by the General Constantino Chiwenga and Emerson Mnangagwa. And while it was widely referred to as a coup, it was presented as a constitutional intervention. Their plan can be tracked as far back as 2013, when the current constitution was crafted. It was crafted in such a way that their plan, which was implemented later in 2017, would work. So, what was the plan? To write the constitution in such a way that it would allow them to pull off a coup without being accused of illegal removal of a constitutionally elected government. Which sections did they use? Sections 212 and 213 of the Zimbabwean Constitution are central to how the military justified its action. Before we delve into the Constitution, how it was used, let's see who Chiwenga and Mnangagwa were in Mugabe's government. Right, now let's talk about who Mnangagwa and Chiwenga were in Mugabe's government. In 1980 to 1988, Mnangagwa served as Minister of State for National Security. This is the time when he formulated the dreaded CIO, which terrorized citizens, shutting freedoms of expression, press, and association. The CIO also tracked and neutralized opposition leaders during his tenure. 2009 to 2013, he served as Minister of Defense, and at this stage, he took a chance to understand defense and also cultivated both influence and support from the army. Now at this stage, he connived with Chiwenga to craft a constitution to be able to remove Mugabe. Also, take note that when he left defense in 2013, he had already finished with the sections 212 and 213 of the Constitution in 2013. 2014 to 2017, he served as Vice President, and at this stage, he managed to get close to the Presidium, which made it possible for him to also act as President when the President was away. And at this stage, his dream of becoming President was now close to implementation. Right, now, who was General Chiwenga during Mugabe's tenure? Now, I will start with these military career highlights. He joined the liberation struggle in 1973 as a member of the Zimbabwe African National Liberation Army, ZANLA, adopting the non-de guerre Dominic Chinenge. Rose through the ranks to become the provincial commander and later deputy political commissar in the Zimbabwe African National Liberation Army High Command. After independence, he was attested into the Zimbabwe National Army in 1981 as brigadier commanding the 1st Brigade in Bulawayo. Chiwenga was appointed commander of the Zimbabwe National Army in 1994 following the formation of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. In 2004, the retirement of General Vitalis Navashe, Chiwenga was promoted to the commander of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, a role he held until his retirement in December 2017. The Zimbabwe Defense Forces includes both the National Army and the Air Force of Zimbabwe. During his tenure as Zimbabwe Defense Forces commander, Chiwenga also served as the chairman of the Joint Operation Command, which coordinates all security services, including the Army, Police, Air Force, prisons, and intelligence. Right, now let's get into how they crafted the constitution to implement their plan. Here is how those sections were interpreted and used. Now let's start with section 212 of the Zimbabwe Constitution. This one is the role of the defense forces. This section states that the Zimbabwe Defense Forces are responsible for protecting Zimbabwe, its people, its national security and interests, and its territorial integrity, and upholding the Constitution. So the military, led by Chiwenga, argued that Mugabe's actions, particularly the purging of Mnangagwa and the rise of Grace Mugabe's G40, posed a threat to national stability and constitutional order. By invoking Section 212, they claimed their intervention was to protect the Constitution and the nation, not to seize power unlawfully. Section 213, Deployment of Defense Forces. This section requires that the President, as the Commander-in-Chief, authorizes the deployment of the defense forces. However, in 2017, the military deployed forces without Mugabe's explicit authorization. This was a clear constitutional violation, but the military framed it as a temporary corrective measure to restore constitutional order. They claimed Mugabe was incapacitated or acting against the constitution, thus justifying their actions as necessary and urgent. Now, this is how they tricked Mugabe. Remember that when they crafted the constitution in 2013, Mugabe didn't see that if he was the one who was violating the constitution, the Zimbabwe Defense Forces were going to move in to actually remove him according to the constitution. Now, let's look at the legal framing. Chiwenga and Mnangagwa used the language of constitution to present the coup as a constitutional intervention, not a military takeover. Public messaging. This is what they sold to the public. They emphasized that the military was not taking over, but targeting criminals around the president, which helped maintain public and regional support. Parliamentary pressure. As impeachment proceedings began, Mugabe was pressured to resign, which he eventually did, giving the transition a veneer of legality. Now, in summary, while the coup violated several constitutional provisions, including Section 2, 208, 209, 211, 212, 213, and 124, Chiwenga and Mnangagwa cleverly used Sections 212 and 213 to justify their actions as being in defense of the Constitution and national interests. This strategic framing helped them to avoid international condemnation and facilitated Mnangagwa's rise to power. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.